Today, I want to cover a few topics that seems like people have trouble processing in their brain. They're not really difficult, but it just seemed to be the case where no matter how much I explain, they're kind of getting stuck on certain explanations about it and can't really process it. Let's do that today. Before we start, if you had trouble with any of these points, I don't want you to think that you're stupid or I'm calling you stupid. These are kind of weird concepts to get. They may not be very intuitive unless someone explains them to you. So again, these are just things that either a lot of people ask me or somehow people just can't grasp, and different people are different. So that's why I kind of wanted to go over them again. And by the way, if you were watching all of my previous 300 movies, I probably did touch on them in the past, but because most people didn't, we're gonna cover them again. So let's do that. All right, so I had this situation a couple of times where extracted text of a document was flagged by an antivirus because it contained malicious JavaScript. And not understanding I had with people is that they think that malicious JavaScript is somehow dangerous. And when you have JavaScript where it's been extracted from some kind of HTML or some kind of page and put into a text file, like we have in extracted text field, it's completely harmless. It's not going to be able to do anything bad on your computer. People think like, well, it's a virus, it could run, it could do something, but it actually can't. The content of text has been put into sort of an environment that you cannot run it. It's been sort of neutralized by the environment it's been put in. It's not like an executable file where someone can accidentally double click on it and run. If you have a malicious JavaScript that's in a text file, there is almost no chance that anyone can run it and it could do anything bad. Still, people kind of argue with me, well, it's a virus, we have to remove it, we have to do this and we have to do that. And I was trying to explain to people it is not a big deal. It's not a true virus by its definition. It's just text that hitting a virus-like signature, but it's been made completely inert by being stored in a text file. I think the lack of understanding comes from people not knowing how viruses work, how scripts work, how malicious JavaScript works. And is it really worth arguing over? No, you probably just want to delete it and kind of move on with your life. But this concept of a script being stored in a text file and it became inert because of that seemed to have been difficult for people to process. So that's why I wanted to mention it here. Now, the next question I got like probably a million times. When you process RSMF files into relativity, why is there no from field? I don't know how many times I had to answer that. People email me all the time, and somehow they just overlook the fact that a from is one name. You're only allowed to have one name in the from field. You cannot have a message from multiple people. When you're looking at RSMF, you have multiple senders within that one RSMF file. So it is impossible to have a from field to be taken from the RSMF file. There are multiple froms, and that cannot happen. So what you have instead is you have conversation participants, which is a list of all the names mentioned in RSMF files. And those participants go to email to field. That's the multi-entry field that contains all the names. So email from is meant to be empty. It is totally fine. And I know some people said, after I explained this, they said, well, our client emailed back and they told us that they need to have a from field, so we have to put a from field. I said, no, you don't. This is not how this data works. There is no from field because we've taken multiple messages, combined them together, and now we have multiple values for the senders of messages. So we cannot physically put them in the from field. That's how it works. For some reason, people have trouble grasping that, and maybe even they understand it, but then their client keeps pushing them, and then they don't want to explain it to their client, or may not be doing a good job. And this is where all this communication happens. So usually, after a little bit of explanation, people get it, but the first time they see it, the first time they process our SMF and they look at metadata, they all go like, whoa, what's going on here? Why is there no from? This is wrong, something is wrong, there is a problem, we need this fixed. So again, not a problem. In text message communications, whenever you have multiple messages grouped together, the from field is meant to be empty. And for our last point, we're gonna go back to our favorite topic, is deduplication. And people say, why is deduplication so rigid? Why it doesn't understand if the message was sent 1 or 2 seconds off? It's still the same message. It shouldn't be so rigid. But that's the point of deduplication. We want it to be rigid. We want it to be 100% exact. We don't want any tolerance from deduplication. If we did have some kind of tolerance, we would not be able to rely on it to remove documents from our review with 100% confidence. There would have been a chance that somehow documents being excluded that could be really similar to one another. That's what the near duplicate detection is for. That's where you set up like a threshold, how close the documents are to each other. And when you're dealing with deduplication process, you absolutely do want that 100% matching between two documents. One character, one letter, one little thing is off, and that's it. Those documents are not considered duplicates. It is a rigid process, and that's exactly how we want it. We don't want any flexibility in the deduplication process. And this usually comes up after the client already found some duplicates and they're trying to find a way to kind of blame it on vendor, put it on vendors like, well, you haven't done a good job at deduplicating or something like that. I don't want to see these duplicates. Or they don't want to pay for some kind of custom work to maybe do rounding for dates and times and then rerun deduplication. They're saying like, no, your deduplication process is faulty. It shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't be paying for you to do any custom work to figure that out. No, it is what it is. There is a duplicate detection which is exact, and there is a near duplicate detection which is not, where you set your threshold. You got to pick one or the other. Now I know you guys probably already know all this, but in case someone does not, feel free to forward them this video. If you have anything else that you feel like people just can't seem to get, put it in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, subscribe on YouTube, and I will see you on another video.